Hello, dear student. The topic for today's discussion is Union Executive. Prime Minister portion is done. Now we'll be discussing Council of Ministers and the role of Cabinet. First, we need to know that who are the Council of Ministers. So, the Council of Ministers are those ministers who are led by the Prime Minister. So, who appoints the Prime Minister? The President appoints the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister suggests few names, and these are appointed by the President. So the Council of Ministers are also appointed by the President, but on whose advice? On the advice of the Prime Minister. Now the Council of Ministers are categorized into three categories. তো মন্ত্রী সভার তিনটে শ্রেণীতে ডিভিশন আছে। প্রথমে হলো ক্যাবিনেট মিনিস্টার্স, দ্বিতীয় হলো রাষ্ট্র মন্ত্রী, আর তৃতীয় হলো উপমন্ত্রী। First of all, who are the cabinet ministers? They are the members of the cabinet, which is a smaller body of 15 to 20 members. These ministers, they constitute the highest decision making body of our political administrative system. So the prime minister is the head of the government, and he takes the decisions based on the cabinet meetings on whatever is decided by the cabinet ministers. And these ministers hold the most important offices like home affairs, then defense, finance, external affairs. All these are very important department, and the ministers who are heading these departments are members of the cabinet ministers. Thirdly, if cabinet ministers are giving any advice, so cabinet, we know who sits for the meeting, who acts as the chairperson of this cabinet meeting, the prime minister. So the cabinet and the prime minister, if they take any advice, the president has to accept and follow that advice. So cabinet ministers are also a part of council of ministers, but it is a smaller body, but it is very powerful body. Second is the Minister of State. They can be given independent charge of ministry. For example, if a particular ministry has been given completely to them, or they can work with some cabinet ministers. So they are not members of the cabinet, and they do not attend the cabinet meetings unless if they are invited. And the third category is deputy ministers. They are not given independent charge of any ministry. However, they help the cabinet ministers or ministers of the state in their administrative and political duties. As far as the constitutional provisions are concerned, Article 74 of the Indian Constitution talks about a Council of Minister, and who is the head of the Council of Minister? The Prime Minister. And what do the Council of Ministers and Prime Minister do? They advise the President, and the President has to work according to that advice. Secondly, Article 75 states that who appoints the Council of Ministers? They are appointed by the President, and the President, based on what the suggestion, so the Prime Minister gives a list to the President of whom he wants in his council, and the President appoints them as the Council of Ministers. Now the tenure means for how long the Council of Ministers can remain in their position. They hold office during the pleasure of the President. And whom are they responsible to? They shall be collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. So they are individually responsible and also collectively responsible. We will discuss about this in the next. Now, a minister, for example, is not a member of either a house, neither Lok Sabha nor Rajya Sabha, for 6 consecutive months, then he or she shall cease to be a minister. So a minister, within after assuming office within 6 months, they have to get a nomination in the upper house or elected in the lower house. However, if a period of 6 consecutive months pass, they shall cease to be a minister. Now, these are the constitutional provisions, but in 2003, a change was made, an amendment was brought about. This was the 91st Amendment Act of 2003. What it stated was that earlier there was no limit on how many council of ministers there could be in strength or in number. Now it has been said that the total number of council of ministers, including prime minister, shall not exceed 15% of the total strength of Lok Sabha. So if Lok Sabha has 552 members, not more than 15% of 552, which is approximately 81. So more than 81, there cannot be council of ministers whose strength is more than 81. This amendment was brought to take control of very large group of ministers. So now only 81 people at the max can contest or can be as council of. Now, the next thing that we are going to discuss is individual and collective responsibility. So, in a parliamentary form of government, there is a concept of ministerial responsibility. For example, if you are a cabinet minister or a minister of state, you are responsible to the parliament. For example, if you are heading the foreign affairs ministry, or if you are heading the home affairs ministry, you are responsible for your department. If there is any wrong, or if there is any wrongdoing, or if there is any problem with the department, then you, the minister in charge, has to be responsible, and not just for his official work but also for their conduct. So if there is misconduct, or if there is a problem in the department that they are handling, then the individual ministers are responsible to the parliament. The prime minister can suggest, the prime minister can ask the ministers to resign, or can advise the president, and based on that advice, the president can seek resignation or can remove the ministers. Collectively, also, ministers are responsible to the parliament. So, the council of ministers are usually members of the largest party, and a party who wins the majority in the Lok Sabha, and it is their government. So, in case the government brings out any policy decisions, then all the ministers must accept the decision of the cabinet. So, cabinet is also a part of council of minister, and all ministers have to support the policies of the government, because if they do not do so, then it will be a loss of confidence, and then the entire council of ministers will stand dissolved, and the house will also stand dissolved. And if also the prime minister resigns, all the council of ministers will have to resign. So ministers individually also they are responsible, and collectively also they are responsible to the. Lastly, we will see the difference between Council of Ministers and Cabinet. I had mentioned Cabinet is not a different body. Cabinet is also one of the categories of Council of Ministers. However, the differences are there. First of all, Council of Minister is a large body compared to the Cabinet. So the Council of Ministers has a maximum of 80 members, so it can range between 70 to 80 members. However, cabinet is a small body, so it has 15 to 20 members, and they are quite relevant because they hold important portfolios and they hold important departments. Secondly, it is a constitutional body. Why? Because the original constitution contained article 74, which mentions about the need of a council of minister with prime minister at the head. However, the term cabinet was not mentioned in the original constitution. The term cabinet was inserted in article 352 of the constitution by the 44th amendment act of 1978, and article 352 only mentions that the council consisting of the prime minister and other ministers of the cabinet rank. So there is no mention what the task that the cabinet performs. It only mentions the word cabinet. Lastly, the Council of Minister includes three category of ministers: cabinet minister, minister of state, and deputy minister. However, cabinet consists of only those who are members of the cabinet. So these are some of the broader differences, but minor differences are that Council of Ministers do not sit regularly in a meeting. All 70-80 members do not sit together for a meeting. However, the cabinet, they hold frequent meetings. Moreover, the cabinet is a much more powerful body. It is the most important policy making body of India, and in the union executive, the prime minister is completely assisted by the cabinet in all the decisions. This is it for today's lecture. We'll be discussing about further aspects of Indian government and politics in the next lecture.